Hello, hello. We are live. Welcome to the Scene Live. So, if you've been here before, you know I usually bring on amazing guests, entrepreneurs who share their stories and what's really happening behind the scenes of building a business. But today, it's just me. And honestly, it's been a long time coming. After over 325 interviews, yeah, amazing. I've had a front row seat to what actually works in business and what keeps so many people spinning their wheels. And I started to realize there are patterns, there are things successful entrepreneurs do differently. There are beliefs that hold people back, and there are shifts that can change everything. So today, I want to share some of those insights with you. Not theory, not fluff, I want to share real lessons from conversations that I've had. Because if you've ever felt like you're doing all the things, but it's still not quite working, then this is going to be a great conversation to join in. And hold on just a minute here. I just want to get some notes because I wrote down some things that people have said that I'm really I want to make sure that I get those right. And hold on. Oh, I'm having some technical challenges. Hold on. Okay. Here we go. So today I want to share some of those insights with you. And I have spent nearly 20 years as a creative director making global brands famous. But when I started my own business and began working with solopreneurs, I noticed a similar problem that repeated itself over and over. People with years of deep, incredible experience were being completely overlooked. And you know what? I had that challenge in the beginning as well. Because most service providers don't have a talent problem, they have a translation problem. They're brilliant at what they do, but they are invisible experts because they cannot explain in a language that makes clients want to hire them. Today, with that in mind, I'll be looking at the three biggest lessons I've learned from my guests and about getting out of your own way and getting seen and getting hired. So let's start. So, lesson number one really is about mindset. It's mastering that whole mindset and escaping that trap of, going down that rabbit hole. The first pattern that I noticed happens really entirely in your own head, and it's about how we handle adversity of our own self-worth. That whole imposter syndrome thing, even the most confident people I have found suffer from it at some point. So let's take Nancy Bennett, who was on the show this year. She's a licensed CPA, and I interviewed, and Nancy was incredible. She found herself divorced with 4 kids and no job, and over $650,000 in debt after 5 failed businesses. So she could have easily stayed a victim. But she realized that when you're backed into a corner and you have no choices, you have to do something. So she made the powerful mindset shift to believe that, as she said, everything happens for you, not to you. Now, sometimes that's going to be really hard. And I know that I've been in tight spots before, and sometimes it's not easy to look at the, sunny side of things. But But that's why these stories that I hear from entrepreneurs and things that they've overcome, these are the inspirations that we need to hear, that we need to hear that people have overcome things that will help us to motivate us to continue on. Inspiring stories, why do you think that we watch those great movies where there's a winner? It's not it's not all fairy tales and make believe. Why do I love stories and movies that are actually and true stories of people overcoming something astronomical? Because it helps me, it makes me feel better. And that's what we need. We need to push ourselves, and sometimes you need a little inspiration. Because the other thing is, when you're dealing with chaos, it's easy to panic. Tony Azes, who was my business advisor for many years, I remember him telling me that when you're in that, he called it a tunnel of crisis, you need to have a short-term survival plan. You have to heavily prioritize your mental health and have a daily focus, because as a small business owner, you simply cannot afford to let yourself slip. Because if you're slipping, there's nobody usually there to back you up. So you have to stay healthy, you have to stay strong, and you have to take care of yourself. And then I remember talking to Sandy Sinden, and she's a brilliant marketing strategist. She talked about the block that can be a crisis or feel like a crisis. She talked about the subconscious selling. She explained that many of us have this subconscious lid on our success based on our own self-worth. And we want to earn more. We want to feel confident, and we want to feel like we deserve it. And sometimes that's a struggle. And those are some of the blocks that we have. So if you're experiencing if you're an experienced professional, and you're quietly asking yourself, am I good at what I do? And why is it so hard to find clients? This is step one. Escape the invisibility trap and start believing that your expertise is incredibly valuable, because it is. You didn't get here by knowing nothing. You know things, and you are valuable. So we have to get past that mindset. And if we can't get past that mindset, we can't get to lesson number 2. And lesson number 2 really is about how we show up. Just recently, I had a great conversation with Steve Ramona, and he was a really great conversation. He's a super connector, and he's helped generate over $100 million in partner deals. And he gave me the best advice ever. He called it quit pitch slapping people. Stop throwing your offer or throwing up your offer on strangers. Instead, he said, use the ASA principle. Ask, shut up, and listen. I love that. We need to do more listening as entrepreneurs. We need to hear what people are actually struggling with, what they need, and stop talking over them to, push our offer on people. Let's figure out if it's actually the right thing, because selling isn't just the words you use. And I learned some great things from Jane Moore, Trainer Jane. She reminded me that how important our visual, verbal, and vocal presence is, not only in person, but on camera. And she said something really interesting. It's not just about what you're saying to people and, as Steve had mentioned, throwing your offer at people, but it's also, watching for visual cues from who you're speaking with, but also to make sure that you're coming across with the right visual cues. She said something simple and profound. She said, remember to smile. And think of yourself almost looking in a mirror and putting that smile on. When you put that smile on, it helps the other person to be at ease, and they automatically will put a smile on too. It makes the whole conversation so much friendlier, and that's what we need. We need it to be a friendly conversation, a relationship building moment, not a pitch slap. So another person who was, we called her the networking diva, Amanda Russell, and she's a co-founder of Jelly Social, a local networking group. She echoed this. She said, when you enter a room, show more interest in the other person than in pitching yourself. So ask, how can I help you? Keep that in mind. Don't think about, what you have to offer and how you're going to get people interested in that. Think first about the other person and how you can help them. Now, here's where my brand strategy background comes in. People often pitch slap because they feel desperate to be understood. But when you build what I call the true brand, one that is built on truth, relevance, unique genius, and expression, you don't need to aggressively pitch people because you're going to come across authentically, and the relevance really is about who your ideal client is and understanding them. And that's where it's, as Steve said, you need to listen and come across with that, bring that expression out. And expression comes from you personally as well. As Jane said, smile, be friendly. It helps people, feel comfortable, because don't forget, a lot of people are uncomfortable being in the situation of networking and trying to talk about themselves too. Open the door for them and make it easier. When your brand is clear, it does the heavy lifting for you. So it translates your value naturally so you can focus entirely on genuine human connection. And then that brings me to lesson number 3. The third pattern I see in highly successful entrepreneurs is how fiercely they protect their time. When I spoke to Janine Boland, she's an author and a business coach and strategist. She shared her framework for building a successful business, working for 4 hours, only 4 hours a week on her business. And she focused only on prospecting, follow-up, connecting, and training. Did she have a team? Yes, she did. But her biggest rule, and I will always remember her saying this, is be incredibly jealous and stubborn with your calendar. That is so true. Like, you really have to take control of your own time or it will take control of you. I also talked to several amazing productivity experts, Claire O'Callaghan, Martina Rowley, and Carrie Holden. They all agreed on one thing: holding on to the task you hate is costing you money. So Claire noted that outsourcing something as simple as your inbox frees up massive brain power. Isn't that true? If you go into your inbox, can you not get lost for like forever? And Martina, she pointed out that holding on to admin distracts you from actually growing your business. Sometimes we actually use it as an excuse so that we don't have to do the things that are uncomfortable, like showing up at networking events and making those connections with new people and building those relationships. So we say that we're so busy. We're busy doing the admin, but that's not moving our business forward, is it? And then Carrie Holden reminded us to stop getting distracted by shiny objects and syndrome, getting bogged down in tasks you dread drains you. As Carrie so beautifully put it, everything you ever wanted is on the other side of fear. I love that. So don't be afraid to let go of the grunt work. Visibility without clear messaging is just noise. And you must protect your time so you can focus on getting your foundational message right. Staying in your zone of genius and doing the work you actually love, or the work that you're actually really good at, that you're an expert at, because you started this for a reason. So let's quickly recap. The most successful entrepreneurs I've interviewed do three things. They master their mindset and break through their own glass ceilings. They focus on genuine connection over aggressive pitching. And they fiercely protect their time and stay in their zone of genius. So if you're listening to this and realizing, yeah, I don't have a talent problem, but I do have a translation problem, I'm here to help you fix that. And my goal is to help you turn what you know into a brand that gets you seen, heard, and hired. You can start today by subscribing to my newsletter, The Scene, where I share weekly insights on how to stop being an invisible expert and start building a brand that attracts the exact clients you want. I'll drop that into the links and you can subscribe. And speaking of subscribe, I would love you to click like and subscribe to this so that you get notified of all of my upcoming episodes with other experts as I continue to bring on more people that help us grow our business and our brands. So thank you so much for spending your time with me today. Drop a comment and let me know which of these three lessons hits home the most. And don't forget, like and subscribe. I would be so appreciative of that. And I'll see you next time in The Scene Live. Bye for now.